Welcome to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat Podcast. Now, sit back and enjoy while Nick and Trevor help you use your technology to make money and delight your clients.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat Podcast. I'm Nick Beaujard, and with me I have...
Trevor Shoemakers. Oh, look at that for an introduction.
Wow, look at that. Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been up since 5. There you go. Good morning, Trevor.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. You know, 200 and something days and counting.
Nothing like a good riot to get me fired up. Absolutely.
Oh,
well, I'm not in Melbourne. You are.
Bloody better not affect me playing golf next week. That might upset me.
Yeah, it might do, you know.
That's it.
So I got an advert, one of these adverts on email this week from a pub inviting me to book a table on October the 18th.
Is this your Freedom Day?
Well, it's not really, because they haven't called it that. But apparently, if you're double vaxxed at between 3 and 4 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, as long as you're not in an LGA or suburb of concern, you can go to certain pubs that aren't more than 5 kilometres away from your home or within your own LGA or something.
And go along with 2 family members.
If you're an essential worker and you're under 18 and you've got your bubble of 3. Yep.
Bubble of 3. I heard the other one. They said, like, we're allowed to have from next week. What is it? We're allowed to go on a picnic. So with 5 adults, but only from 2 households. And everybody's going, like, how many of those are there? Like, where you get 5 adults?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You've got 2 adults in most households.
We've got this bubble for 18s and unders, but I've got a 19-year-old, and she's going like, "Come on, that's not fair." So she's trying to get one of her.
Nothing fair, is it?
She's trying to get one of her friends who is 18 to be in her sister's bubble.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like stupid. Anyway,
it's when the kids are trying to find loopholes. This is when we've lost the plot. We've seriously lost the plot when the kids are trying to And in all seriousness, I feel the kids, this 2 years of their life, you know, like a 5-year-old that's, you know, has spent 2 of their 5 years in environments that they haven't been able to socialize and get out and do it. It's tough on the kids. The kids are like they're roaming the streets here in Mount Eliza, and I just smile. Like, I think previously I would have gone, what are you kids up to? Blah blah blah. Now I just smile and go, "Good on you. You've got to get out and do something."
Yep. So here's a stat for you. More people have died in America of COVID-19 than died of the Spanish flu.
Yes, that was yesterday. They announced.
That was yesterday. Yeah. So lockdown does stop lots of people dying, and that's probably what we should do. You know, being old-fashioned and such. Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Let's not get that conversation going while I'm living down here in Melbourne. All right, okay. It's really intense down here at the moment on that thing. You know what I'd like to talk about, Nick? Is, you know, the Power Apps and Power Automate and these sort of things. I'd like to just understand a bit about what they are. You know, and
the Microsoft Power Platform. Is what you want to talk about. It
is. That's what we want to talk about, the Power Platform. So we're going to bring Power, and like, we probably don't have time to go into a deep dive on each of the applications, but an overview on them. Think about how you could use, and let's discuss some things you could automate in an accounting firm. Let's get specifically down to an accounting firm. And then maybe some of our listeners might send in something that they would like to automate, and you could maybe prepare for next week. And do an example.
Free consulting.
Well, I know what's going on. I'll come up with something. All right.
Yeah, there we go. I knew we were getting to that. This is Nick. I'll come up with something that I need to fix. Can you go fix it for free, and we'll put it on the podcast? And yeah. All right.
All those in favour say aye.
I can always remove you from the stream, so don't you start.
Let's start with. So the first one was Power Automate, and it used to be called
Flow.
What was it called? Flow.
Yep.
And
actually, we always start. We say we do them in a certain order. So I'll start in the order, but nice for you to jig around. So right at the top we have Power BI.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Power BI was the first part of the Power Platform, and Power BI is all about creating visualizations from your data.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so it's all about creating graphs and charts and dashboards and doing data analytics on your data to prove things that you didn't know before.
Yeah, and see things and see data and see information that it's difficult to see, like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of data and different data sorts and stuff like that, and see it in a way you've never seen it before. So that's, and make it easy. I like to sort of say that accountants can get together with business people and show them financial information and everybody glazes over. But the enlightening thing with Power BI is when you get a business person and you show them something that they understand in a visual format and relate that back to their financial data. Then
so there's actually some cool automation inside Power BI that if you haven't used it, you probably don't know about. But normally when you get data, it's not actually in the format. You need to move columns around, you need to edit rows if certain things happen. Now, as you do that in Power BI, it actually records and remembers all those steps. So the next time you give it new data, it can go and mess it around to get it exactly in the format you need. So, lots of people I know in accounting practices spends a bunch of time getting data from somewhere, having it on one screen, formatting it into a different set of data on the other screen, and then typing it in somewhere. So Power BI does that. That's a bit of automation Power BI does that people kind of don't think about, but it's cracking automation.
Yeah. I've seen it at hand and worked with it, and we've talked about Power BI a fair bit. I love it. What's your next one in the Power stack?
Next one's Power Apps.
Fill me in.
So Power Apps allows you really easily, you don't have to be a developer, right? You have to have some knowledge, you have to do some training, but you can build applications that will run on tablets, on phones, or on PCs, or on the web, which talk to your data, and not just talk to SharePoint or Office 365, but talk to thousands of different data sources. So it allows you to, anyone to build a custom app to do certain things. So there's some great templates out there, which is if you've got a small business that goes out and fits carpets, for example, you can write a Power App in about an hour from a template that allow people to go out with this app on their phones, take pictures of the various rooms, it all put it together and turn it into a quote and send it to the customer.
Perfect. That's a really good example of how you can use Power Apps to capture information on the fly, out on site, all of these sort of things that you need to do, and connect it to your other applications, or you're saying to do like to write a quote. But could you then connect that data into your accounting system?
Depends on the accounting system, and depends on how accessible their API is. So some of them do that really well. Some of them don't do that as well. I'm not going to tell you which ones. But there are ones out there that work really, really well with it, and ones that don't so much.
And the concept of them moving that data into there, this is where we get into Power Automate.
So yeah, exactly right. Doing any manual task you do in your firm. And I remember being at a presentation, or maybe you talking about a presentation, when they said the biggest technical innovation to affect the accounting industry is 2 monitors. And that 2 monitors is I can copy data from point A to point B. I think I've talked about this ad nauseum. Well, if you're ever doing that,
it makes you giggle.
Yeah, it does,
makes you giggle. But you can't work without 2 screens. I know that. You sit outside out on the sun deck and you have your 2 screens going.
Yeah, only because I'm running code on one screen and I'm watching the app on the other screen. I'm not copying data between them. But yeah, so Power Automate really allows you to build electronic workflows which do things. And I'll give you some examples you could do. So at a high level, it allows you to connect cloud applications together and make them do things, which is where it started, which is super cool, right? I can, if I'm doing a process where I've got a customer that uploads a spreadsheet to OneDrive and I want to get that into something else and do something else with it and create a document, I can actually automate that using Power Automate.
Yeah. And we've done things like, emails come in, you can use Power Automate for it to create a task.
Yeah. So
anything, they're basic.
Anything
things,
in the cloud it does that.
Yeah.
But there's a new feature in Power Automate that not a lot of people know about called Robotic Process Automation. And this is where you've got a customer who says, I've got this really old application. It's got no API. It runs on the desktop. It runs on a server. It's like normally in accounting, a cash flow application or this application or that application. Well, with Power Automate, robotic process automation, it has flows for desktop. So you can actually automate what you do on your computer as part of a Power Automate flow.
In other words, like I've got to print out a CSV file. Okay, so I go into the application, and I want to get some data out, so that's what I would do. Create a report, drop it down to a CSV. You're saying to me that I can use robotic process automation to watch what I do?
To do all of that, to record it, you edit it a little bit. You get it to do that automatically. You get it to take that CSV file. You get it to put it up to OneDrive. You can now talk to it as a cloud bit of data.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do that manual step anymore. So anything you do, if you're doing process work, right, something you do again and again and again and again, or you do every week or every month or once a year, you can automate it. And then you don't actually have to do that work anymore. So you paid for the computer. Get it to do the work for you.
Yep. So all of these things are designed like I've heard you guys talk about you've got Power Apps, and we say we'll build that in Power Apps, and then you say, okay, now we've built it in Power Apps. It's sort of like that's your proof of concept that it's useful. So then you say, well, that's a bit expensive to use Power Apps to do that. So you'll drop it out to something else.
No, that's the view is if I want to create an application that I want to sell to customers. So there's a difference. Yeah. If I want to build something I want to use, I'll build it in Power Apps all day long.
Yeah.
Right? If I want to automate something I do, I'll do it in Power Automate all day long. I will. If I want to build some software that I want to sell to people, you don't use those tools to build that.
Because it's not your platform,
Not only is it not your platform, it can get expensive if you're doing lots. It's very hard to export from one environment and put into another environment. It's just stuff, right? So it's easier for us to build that in different ways.
Yeah, and you'll use some words I've heard you use, Blazor or something like that. Is that what
Yep. So we use Blazor to do a lot of development. So it's kind of cool. But there's one part of the Power two parts of the Power Platform you're probably not across. Now, these do require money, whereas most of it's free with Office 365. But there's an AI builder in the Power Platform, which actually allows you to do things like upload a document and it will work out what type of document it is. If it's an invoice, it will pull out all the different numbers from it. If it's a receipt, it will pull out all the stuff from it. It's really smart at doing that. There's some smart AI built into it as well. And then that takes us to the fourth part of the Power Platform, which is what's called Power Virtual Agents. And that allows you to build chatbots to converse with your customers and employees without writing any code.
Oh, this is the thing that you wrote that robot on
ages ago. It's a different platform, right? A different platform. This is the evolution.
Everybody's got to hear this. I'd like everybody to hear this story. So I wasn't feeling well, and we were at a conference, and I had to go home that night. So Nick, on the night, he was a special guest speaker, and he did a robot to answer tax queries based on the data, the knowledge base from
so what we did was we went online.
H&R Block.
We found H&R Block's FAQ, which is very detailed. We turned it into an AI chatbot, and live on stage, right? We did all of this live on stage, and then we published the chatbot to production, and allowed people sitting there having dinner to ask questions of the chatbot.
And so I turn up the next morning, and I'm thinking, boy, everybody had a big rough night. They all look a bit green and a bit sickly. And I said, geez, guys, you party hard last night. And they said, no, we just saw what Nick did. We're not going to have a job anymore. And I said, Nick, don't scare them so much.
I did frighten a few people.
Yeah, they were all like ashen and starry-eyed. And it took us a bit to pull them back into reality. Okay, we still have a few things to do, but the point that we're trying to talk about here is with some skills, most people can automate anything they do. So if you're doing something over and over, doing the same thing over again, you can find out through these applications, you can find a tool that's going to help you automate that.
Yeah, and you can, and that's really quite meaningful. But it means a couple of things, and there's things you want to think about. Automating stuff is great, but if you bill per hour worked, you're going to spend less hours doing things. So you need to get your head around, automating things is really good for a number of reasons. First of all, it's not just speed, it's not just time, it's quality. If you automate something, it does it the same way every time, which is how quality control is meant to be. You're building a digital factory to do what your business should do. It's the way to go. But you've then got to go, okay, so I'm not just the result of human time. I'm now the result of value to my customer. So if, for example, I charge, and I'll just pick a number out of my head, $1,000 to do a tax return, for example, right? And it takes me 10 hours at a blended charge-out rate of $100 an hour, and my customers are happy paying for that. If it takes me an hour, I should still be charging $1,000 because the value is still there.
Yes, or charge them 500 and say I'm going to do something else for another 500.
Yep.
Think of, when I first moved to the cloud back with the accounting firm 10 years ago, I went to my clients and I said, this is it. This is the last time I'm going to send you a bill based on time. I'm going to quote for everything that I do. Now, I went through and my time was dropped. The time I was spending was down by about 25% on work because we were starting to see the benefits of automation, the benefits of things we were doing, the single ledger and all of this sort of stuff were coming through. So I said to our customers, that's fine. You're going to get a reduced fee. But what I'd like to see you do is invest some of that money back into other information, other skills, some business development. You've never done a cash flow budget before. Why don't we put a cash flow budget together? And that's still within the same budget that you were spending last year. Most people took it up. Most people said, yep, that's great. I'm getting better value from you. I don't want to pay $100 an hour for you to do something that's going to take you an hour, but I'm happy to pay 500 because then the old thing, where to hit the hammer and your knowledge is powerful and you can provide those sort of things. But also they want more. And that's where we start to get value from those sort of things, and we can start to provide that value. Like I still hear when I say to someone, well, why don't we automate that? Why don't we do that? And they go, well, I make a good fee out of it. Why do I want to do that? And it riles me.
That's the big thing. And rather than being riled, I think you should, before you go and automate stuff, you should actually have that internal conversation right at the beginning. Before you even get there, what's the conversation I want to have? Okay, what are the things we sell? What are our services? You don't sell hours, you sell outcomes for your customer. I don't give a damn how long my accountant takes to do things. I care, is it done well? How much does it cost?
Yeah.
If it takes you 2 minutes, there are people, however, who have got their mind stuck on time. I know this from a development world where we quote to people and they go, well, how many hours is that? I go, I don't know. What's it worth to you? Oh, I want to know how many hours it is. Oh, cool. We can go offshore and it's 1,000 hours. Or I can get one of my senior devs to do it and it's an hour. Right?
Yeah.
We're both going to charge you the same amount. Oh, well, that's very expensive. No, it's the same amount of money for the same outcome, although you get a better outcome here. That's a difficult conversation with some people, but most people get it now.
Yeah. Was it the guy who walks in and some machine's not working and he hits it with a hammer and charges him $10,000 and they go, what? You came in here for 10 minutes? Yeah. What do you charge an hour? $100 for the hour to come out, but $9,900 for the
20 years learning where to hit it. Yeah, exactly right.
And that's what we've got to offer. That's the part that we've got to do. And, but it's this process stuff. And you do get stuck in your workload, and to sit back and go, I'm going to find some things that I do automatically. Even people actually,
it's funny, people really struggle with it because they go, I'll do it better. No, you won't. You won't copy numbers off a spreadsheet into another system better than the computer can. It's just not going to happen. The computer makes less mistakes.
Like I watch, my guys go in and some of the stuff they do to speed up the process of, we'll build you a little tool, and it's an Excel tool that you can drop your weekly CSV file into, and it turns it automatically into your import file. So we're going to save you an hour every week.
Yep.
But they will keep going and doing that 1 hour because they're only seeing it 1 hour a week. They're going, it's only 1 hour. It's not only 1 hour. But when we get down to 5 minutes,
it's 52 hours a year.
Yeah.
Right. And you start doing the multiple, and that means Possibly, and this is where, things aren't, it's not just about the hour. I remember going into big enterprises and I went, I can save every person in your organization 25 minutes. And they went, brilliant, we've just got another coffee break for everyone. Because it depends if people will use that productively. But the other thing you get is that kind of adds up and you suddenly go, well, now I need another person because everybody's tied up doing things rather than I can actually free them up and do more with my business. So I think automation is really key.
It is, and it's that whole balancing act, and and everybody, you've got to, we're not sitting there saying go out and automate everything and pay for it all. Just look for one thing a month, one thing a week, and say, can I automate it? How can I automate it? How can I do that a lot better than I'm doing it now? There's got to be a way. What did you used to say? If I do it once, I've learned something. If I do it twice,
if I do it twice and I'm not thinking about automating it, bad. If I do it the third time I haven't automated it, I should be fired.
Exactly. And that's what we live in, so, and we get stuck. So, we've gone through 10 years of a lot of change in automation, and a lot of people have come up with better ways to do things. But I think we're in a bit of a stagnant phase. I think we're, as an industry, we've got to here, and there's a lot of people haven't moved yet, and they're still doing it the old way and doing those sort of things. Fine. But I even think the guys at the front end are a bit lost. I think they've even got to a point of going, right, what's my next,
what's the next big move? Yep.
What's the next big move? What is the next big thing, Nick? We're talking 10 years. We've been mucking around trying to get this stuff right.
So I think this stuff's all there. The problem, I think, and I could be wrong, but the problem I've always seen in the accounting industry is, apart from a very small percentage, most people don't want to learn new stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a small percentage that does, but there's a vast amount. And you were in the cloud really early, as was, and I can go through, we know what all the names are. They're all the same firms. There's a whole number of firms who didn't. And we were talking to one the other day where they kind of want to move off their on-premises servers and move to the cloud and blah, blah, blah. But they've got 5 partners, and none of the partners can agree a good time to do it. 2 years we've been on that cycle. Because they're going, oh, no, you can't do that month because I'm busy doing this. And no, you can't do that month because I'm busy doing this. So it will never happen. And they're stuck in this rut. And the impetus to change for them isn't as big because they can't see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, so to speak.
But the whole thing is that it changed from 10 years ago. We had seasons. We don't have a season anymore. That was GST brought that along, right? So we've now have to do quarterly GST. In the middle of all that, we've got to do everybody's accounting. So and you've got till May, probably June, to do it all. So you're busy all the way up to June, and then you get a month to get ready to plan for the next year. So for anybody to think that they're going to have a time where it's not busy, doesn't matter. But in any case, Nick, what you build for them is sitting parallel. It's sitting side by side. There's no downtime for them.
Yes, but they're not. A lot of them aren't used to that because every change they make results in downtime at the moment.
We used to have 2 weeks, so the first 2 weeks of July, everybody used to take a week off work because our computer went down. We had to do our upgrade. So I'd say, look, everybody take a week off work because that's our quiet time.
That's cool. Anyway, I hate to do this, but we are running up on time and busy all day. But that's been awesome, Trevor. I really appreciate it.
Can we have a power? Can we please, just one little power app or power app for next week?
I'll see what I can throw together.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'll do something funny.
Do something funny. Have a bit of fun. All right, see you then.
Right. Cool. Take care, Trev. Everybody, do like, subscribe, leave a comment if you'd like us to talk about something. If you are watching live, thank you so much. If you're watching a recording, we appreciate it. Look back for some of the others. Loads of really interesting content here. So please enjoy. Trevor, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick. It was a good one.
All right.